conditions to implement it. And I'm open to any questions that you have.
We should read it out loud.
Yes,
when it
sure.
isn't published.
Sure.
Yeah, we just
Sure.
saw this, so
Sure.
maybe-
I can read it out loud right now if that's, if you'd like, so we all know what's
Go
going on.
ahead.
Okay. Okay, so section 1, the electronic participation policy is attached here too, is hereby approved by City Council of the City Council Wood Park. Number 1, electric participation policy during city council meetings. The purpose of this policy is to specify the circumstances under which a member of the city council may participate in regular meetings by telephone or other electronic means of participation, such as video conference, electronic participation. Electronic participation has inherent limitations because electronic participation effectively precludes a member of the city council from contemporaneously observing documentary information presented during meetings and from observing nonverbal explanations. Example, pointing at graphs and charts during a speaker's presentation or testimony. The city council finds that these limitations inherent in electronic participation may produce inefficiencies in meetings, increase the expense of meetings, and may undermine the decision-making process. A member of the city council may participate in a meeting of the city council by electronic means only in accordance with this policy. Emergency situation, paragraph A. In the event a quorum is unable to meet at the day and hour and place fixed by the rules and procedures of the city council because meeting in person is not practical or prudent due to the health pandemic or emergency affecting the city, meetings may be conducted by telephone, electronically, or by other means of communication so as to provide maximum practical notice. Meetings may be held by telephone, electronically, or by other means of communication if all of the conditions are met. The city manager or the mayor determines that meeting in person is not practical or prudent because of health pandemic or declaration of emergency affecting the city. All members of the city council can hear one another or otherwise communicate with one another and can hear or read all discussion and testimony in a manner designed to provide maximum notice and participation. Number 3, members of the public present at the regular meeting location can hear or read all discussion, testimony, and votes unless not feasible due to the pandemic or emergency. We can talk about that in a second. At least one member of the city council is present at the regular meeting location unless not feasible due to the pandemic or emergency declaration. All votes are conducted by roll call. Minutes of the meeting are taken and promptly recorded, and such records are open to the public and to public inspection. And number 7, to the extent possible, full timely notice is given to the public, setting forth the time of the meeting, the fact that some members of the city council may participate by telephone or electronic device, and the right of the public to monitor the meeting from another location. Arranging for electronic participation. Number 1, to arrange to participate via electronic participation, the council member shall contact the mayor, city manager, or city clerk in advance of the meeting to determine if an arrangement for such participation via telephone conference or video conference is possible. Council members shall endeavor to advise the city of their intent to participate via electronic participation at the earliest time possible. B, the city shall initiate electronic participation not more than 10 minutes prior to the scheduled time of the meeting. Upon disconnection during a meeting, the city clerk shall make one attempt to reinitiate the connection. Effective electronic participation. Telephonic participation shall only constitute actual attendance for purposes of establishing quorum for meetings during which no quasi-judicial matters shall be heard or considered. So no QJ under this. Reasonable accommodations. The city shall provide reasonable accommodation and shall waive or modify provisions of this policy to provide handicapped members of city council full and equal access to the city council meetings. Any questions?
Council, questions?
I would just note that I believe that the definition of an emergency is in our code, in our charter. Am I not correct?
I will tell you that the current definitions that I see are related to they're not specific to a pandemic.
Right.
They're more related to a disaster
Right.
and or riot rising to an extraordinary circumstances is I believe how it's stated.
We looked at that
Yeah.
when there was a consideration of an emergency ordinance recently.
Yeah.
And so we do have some guidance because this says a pandemic or emergency
condition.
And so if we had an emergency situation, we would have our charter to turn to for determining whether or not it was an emergency situation. I just wanted to say that
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
defined, whether or not the definition is adequate, but it is defined.
So yeah, so the
So we have
resolution,
something to refer to.
the resolution is identifying a pandemic, which is what we're currently under, and or those emergency conditions that are
Right.
stipulated in the charter.
So this would be useful other than just the
Correct.
situation we're looking at right now.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'll let Darwin go first.
I will let Darwin, and then Noel, and then I've got something after that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and Councilman Sawyer. I'm going to support this unquestionably. In fact, I would like to see it expanded somewhat. There are times that weather and various other issues come into play, and technology has gotten to the point where software such as Zoom does a great job. I wouldn't want to see it used on a regular basis for other than extreme circumstances. But in those extreme circumstances, I see no problem with it, so long as this points out, the citizenry is allowed to view everything that takes place as usual electronically. And even frankly, I would like to see them be able to speak and make presentations electronically. It's really easy with Zoom. I use it in one of my universities all the time, and exchange PowerPoint presentations and all sorts of things using that media. So it does work.
Thank you. Mr. Sawyer, thank you.
So this would, using a web conference, as we could call it, we have to make sure that everybody has a viable webcam, a good computer to work off of. I'd like Jeremy to come up and actually talk about Zoom and how he's going to keep people from sharing their own personal computers. We would just have our regular council members, obviously, and we would have our staff. But how does Zoom keep from non-council and non-staff from interrupting with the chat mode? I mean, I'm sure you can turn off the chat mode. I'm sure you can turn off a few things, but I hope council does have the ability to web conference and has a good computer and has a room that doesn't have people walking in the back.
Well, if I can, and Jeremy and I have had this discussion. He intends to stay after this meeting to help you. If you have a cell phone, to actually install it on your cell phone if you want. It can be your cell phone and or a computer. If we need to reissue your iPad, we can do that as well. It can be on your iPad. But yes, the limit. The way Zoom, it can be Zoom and or you can call in, so that it allows you to do either or. You don't have to necessarily use Zoom. Zoom will just allow you to have us to be able to see you, right, under these
No,
circumstances.
I got it. I use it every day.
Yeah, I'm sure you
I
do.
used it this
I'm
morning.
explaining it's more for the public,
But I think the public will be a little shy of it. The sessions are recorded for the public to know, so it'll be back on YouTube. So it'll be just like
We are currently live streaming this meeting as we speak.
I know, but when we do the Zoom sessions, if we ever come to that, they'll be recorded.
Yeah. And there will be a link available to the public so they can watch it. And it doesn't mean there'll be a point where we can't allow public comment if we wanted to. And we
Right.
can limit public comment like during the time that we normally would in a normal meeting.
I think we really need to define that because I do use Zoom every day and I know how the chat can be misused. It could almost be a Facebook session where people are going to just start throwing out comments. So maybe we should look at an email. If someone has a question and they want to comment, maybe send an email prior to or a telephone. But I really think the chat could be a disruption. I truly know you use it too.
Okay.
I use it, like I said, every day. So I know the pros and cons of it. And I just see if the public's completely involved and everybody's in the chat, it could be pretty disrupting. Let's put it that way.
Okay. So above and beyond this, we can create a policy.
We need
policy
to
recommendation.
get a little more details and dig into it. And I'm sure Jeremy can help with that.
So I also use Zoom, but I don't have an operating webcam. I noticed we talk about here, in here, we don't talk about C. I'm not sure if the council is interested in the C part as much as the here part for public comment or public open meetings. I think here works. I don't know if we have to comply with video.
Well, it'd just be maybe if there was some visual part of the meeting that we want to show you, that's where we would want to prepare that. So if there's something like a document or a presentation that we'd want to show you, that would be something that in which you can do through Zoom as well, to be able to show that. That's kind of the only thought process. We want to limit that. I mean, these are really under emergency, more extraordinary circumstances where we're trying to get city council to provide an emergency policy decision, really, I think, because it's not going to go to QJ. We're not going to have a QJ situation where you have to go through the 11 criteria for a planning decision. So,
Mayor? With a lot of the things I do in my business, we always need to test things. So I'm wondering if we could have a workshop test to just make sure everybody's available and can get on it, and because you have to install a little app on your phone and on your computer. I would hate to have it 10 minutes before a meeting and one of us can't do it.
I believe we did that last night, but Kelly.
Last night through email.
Well, as the city manager said, Jeremy is available after this meeting to help each and every one of us get set up and familiar and ready to use Zoom. And just because we don't have the ability to be seen as a council person, it doesn't mean that we can't see.
Correct.
So we can see what's going on. Maybe we can't be seen if we don't have a webcam.
Sure.
And I would suggest that with anything that we do, we start out and we learn as we go, and we modify and adjust our policy. We've done that with our council policies. So it's a start. We're in an emergency situation. So I think we're trying to be prepared in the event that the emergency escalates to a point where we need to come together, but shouldn't be together physically. So I think that, not to discount what you're saying, for the emergency side of things, I think Jeremy's prepared to help us today, and we can learn as we go.
You're just going to have to catch up.
It sounds to me like,
I use it every day too, so I'm good with it.
Bob would like to ask a question.
I guess,
Mayor,
thank you.
will the public have to have Zoom installed on their devices to see these, or do they?
No, we will, I assume, stream in a similar manner that we do right now.
Well,
Through
will
Zoom.
that eliminate public input?
well, that's exact. Under these circumstances, if under an emergency situation, if there is not a one individual here, then it would eliminate, like one of the city council members can't be present and a quorum can't be, but you're still achieving a quorum through this, then that is the restriction. And they've found through legal analysis under these extraordinary circumstances, again, we're not doing QJ, we're not going through we're trying to achieve this, and we'll make this available to you as well, the press, so you can see it right after this. But the intent really is to just make what is needed in terms of a policy decision by city council for emergency purposes. And if they can't come together, we can't achieve that. So
I assume we'll have a conference call-in capability too. Associated.
and it can be all here. We could, and we'll talk after this, I think, about the current conditions that we're in. We're talking the most escalated condition would mean that everyone would be talking remotely, and there wouldn't be necessarily, there may not be an opportunity for public comment under those circumstances. That's the most extraordinary situation. And that's essentially under those emergency conditions to make a single decision. And you'll get the chance to read this to see like what those conditions would be.
Council, I would suggest that there's technical issues that many of us sitting here, maybe all of us, are aware of, and the city will expedite those and put those procedures in. I think we're looking at a resolution to go down this road, and the details will be worked out. Several good ideas have been put forward by people here, and I'm sure they're taking notes. Thank you.
May I just
Yes.
ask a question just to be absolutely clear? I think what Darren just said was that so long as one council member can actually be physically here,
They can-
it can be live streamed like
can be-
all of the council meetings are.
And it could be public comment.
And then there could be public comment. I
Correct.
understand.
I would add that under these circumstances that we're potentially looking at, that the conference call, we do that, they do that in the county all the time. And we have a representative sitting here. We do that in the county all the time. And I know we've got the capability here. So in addition to being able to have it right here, we can also have a conference
Correct.
call in.
Just one more comment is just for the benefit of Bob. Zoom is a very simple app you can load on your phone that takes just a few seconds to load. It's not real data intensive, and it's really very simple to use. So you can use it right off your cell phone, and it's not complicated at all. So just to help you.
Yes.
And maybe provide a link to download
Mhm.
that.
And we'll have a link to the actual proceeding itself so that they can actually, once they have the application downloaded, they can watch and listen.
Any further public comment?
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
I just have a
Suzanne.
quick question. For the record, Dar had asked that this resolution be expanded. Do we want to do that today or accept it as is today?
Councilman.
No, I'm saying I would support it being expanded, but not today.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure.
No,
It's a resolution, we can always amend it.
Right.
So we don't know what we don't know, and time will tell.
first steps.
Yes, baby steps.
I would suggest it
Anyone?
would be a dynamic document going forward
Yes.
as we get experience with it.
Any more comments, council? All right, I'll close the public hearing.
I'll move to
Excuse me.
approve.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Mayor Levy would like to know if he can weigh in.
Of course you can.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to take a minute to call him. He just text messaged me.
Well, we'd have to actually have them pass the resolution for him to weigh
So
in.
let's pass the resolution and then
Yeah.
we'll have Mayor Levy
Sorry.
It's true.
weigh in.
I will move
He
to-
doesn't want to be on part of the public comment, or?
Oh, he could.
I'm confused.
Yes, he could as a
Call
public
in.
comment.
Sure. I guess the decision can't necessarily be via
Include
He
there.
can't vote.
Yeah, can't vote.
That's it. He can't vote.
Okay.
So-
I'd welcome his input.
Okay, Mayor Levy, call me. Hi, Mayor.
Hello.
Your,
How's,
your whole council is here.
no, I've been listening on Facebook and I appreciate it. And I'll just preface by saying that I think you guys are doing a tremendous job. Everybody is well aware of the situation and the possibilities that rest therein. And, we just have to do obviously what's best for the community. And I think you guys are all on the same page. Obviously there's going to be some things that we don't really have the answers for yet. And those things will come, but I think with Darren's experience to start with, and I got a chance to talk to World Health Organization this morning, so I'm fortunate to know some people at CDC, and so they're going to keep me abreast of some of the things that we should do, even though we're in a small community with with very few infections at this point. But right, we never know what's going to come next. And so, more than anything else, in just listening to this conversation, I can say from a mayor's point of view, I appreciate that everybody works together like maybe we never have, and and get the big picture right in front of us, so we know what to do, when to do it. If there's anything I can do in terms of some of these larger health organizations, then I'll be willing to do whatever I can do at this point. And so I just want to thank everybody. I know it certainly weighs hard on everybody's mind, but it just seems like these kinds of discussions and this kind of consensus is at the end of the day is going to make us stronger. So I appreciate what you all are doing, and obviously I wish I could be there, but right now they'd rather have me in the hospital. So not necessarily my choice, but it makes me feel good that you guys all work together and I feel like just listening from what I've listened to that we're not going to have any major issues. Obviously, there's a lot of unknowns that will be facing us, and we don't know what that's going to look like. Things could be 10 times worse on Monday than they are today. They could be 100 times worse than they are on Monday. So to keep that communication alive, I think, is important. I know Darren and I have chatted in that regard, and so everybody for sure keep an eye on their emails and keep an eye on their texts, because these kinds of things could change in a moment's notice, and a minute or two, right, could literally put us behind the curve, and then we're just asking for trouble. So bottom line, I appreciate you all, if there's anything I can do, I've been obviously talking with Suzanne and Darren, and if anyone else wants to reach out, I'm not going anywhere. And so reach out to me, questions, love to answer them, love to be part of the process. And, at the end of the day, I always, right, I always get chastised for being too positive, but I think we all need to be positive and have good thoughts, even though we know that this thing's not going to end today, tomorrow, or the next day, and we just have to do everything we can to work together to make sure that we're doing those things. So that's really all I got. I just more appreciation than anything else, and it's from a mayor standpoint, this is the kind of thing, right, that we wish we could manage all the time, just like this. So,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We wish you were here too. So we appreciate you pitching in and talking with us today. Thank you.
Mayor Levy, would you like to remain on the line for the rest of the meeting?
I can stay on the line for a while. I'm going to be called back into the emergency room here soon, and I don't know exactly when. So if I suddenly disappear, it's because I've got other things on my plate. But I'm gonna stay online, and
Okay.
We'll keep this phone conversation open. And if you need anything, I don't have any answers. I'll tell you that. I got absolutely no answers. What I have is some input for some people that really know, in CDPHE and Southern County Health and World Health Organization, and all these groups are working together the best they can. But even they don't have answers at this point, right? Because this is almost almost a first, if you will.
I believe we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'm
Yes,
sorry, I
I
didn't
can-
capture the motion.
I move to approve Resolution 856
Second.
as presented.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you. Carr,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Labar. Yes. Nakarado.
Yes,
Sonier,
Yes.
Sawyer.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Item number 5 on the agenda, city manager update and report on COVID-19.
Okay, so I did want to bring city council up to speed on where we're at today. As a reason, and this is the whole purpose of kind of being here today. I do have the county administrator here as well. Cheryl's here. We just completed a meeting at the county headquarters in Woodland Park at noon. Around 1 o'clock, we finished up and had a discussion as a policy group there about kind of the way forward. And so, as a result of that, I just want to kind of bring city council up to speed. We sent you our response plan, I think on Friday, just to give you an update. Not Friday, I think it was Monday. I sent you the update, and so you've had that for a while, and we're able to see. Right now, we're at tier 2 in that process right now, and so we're taking proactive approaches in an internal organization to protect our employees and ensure that anybody that's high risk is being definitely taken care of under those circumstances. What I'm going to talk about in a few minutes is the potential for us to move to tier 3 of that plan to further take proactive measures for the city to keep those proactive measures going and protect our employees that need to provide essential services of public safety to our community. There's what we don't want to see is, suddenly something on us that would prevent us from being able to do that, where we don't have the staff to be able to provide those essential services. We just want to be very proactive in that. Not that there's no cases in Teller County right now, just to bring city council up to speed. And I can give you a real quick update of really what the situation is right now. There's 72 cases in the state right now as of today. In reality, there's 2 in El Paso County, 1 in Pueblo, and 3 in Douglas in terms of the area that's directly around us.
How many in Douglas did you say?
There's 3 in Douglas, and 2 in El Paso County, and none in Teller. I will tell you that everyone will see this. There has been a fatality from one of the cases in El Paso County that was just reported probably about 30 minutes ago.
Right.
But
Well, in terms of, passing a resolution or whatever you guys think is the right way to move forward, let's be sure that everybody keeps in mind that this thing is going to, be pretty dynamic. It's going to change every day. So just because we pass some kind of resolution today, everything could change by Monday. And so I can feel like we're going to have more than one meeting. And let's not tie ourselves to one resolution or this or that, because, right, we just don't know where it's going. If we knew it was going to end today, then we can do some things that might make some sense. But there's too much up in the air to tie ourselves to anything that's critical. I got a phone meeting with John Southers tomorrow, and just trying to get a sense of what they're doing, how they're doing it, just for more resources on, and on how they're moving forward and maybe how it will help us move forward.
thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. You guys need anything else from me?
I think we're good. I appreciate it.
Okay, you
All right.
guys take care.
Need to pull the computer.
Need you to get well.
Need you to get well, right?
on the same page, and so I think long run, big picture, that's going to help all of us, the city, council, all those things moving forward. So I appreciate the hard work, and I'm here if you need me.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Just get well.
You guys take care. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, Susie's going to bring up our response plan just to talk about where we're at and where we're going. As a result of some of the communication I have with City Council, I know there's a discussion about how can we, kind of how we can make these meetings more safe under these circumstances. There were some discussions about potential cancellations. So that's really one of the impetus behind still being able to have these discussions, make these decisions under emergency conditions, and that's what the resolution's for. But just so you're aware that the city and the county and all of our other municipalities within Teller County are working together on a unified direction on this. And so I want to just kind of talk about some of the things that the city will be doing starting on Monday to continue to protect our employees so that we can still provide essential services and public safety to our community. One of those is, any employees that are currently at high risk or their family members are exhibiting any symptoms will remain home. We're looking at limiting these types of meetings to a remote capacity whenever possible. Then we're going to begin doing teleworking and staggered shifts for those who are higher risk and or have family members who are exhibiting symptoms. If that were to be the case, we don't have that yet in terms of any family members exhibiting symptoms. Departments will continue to roll out their own individual plans. We're going to begin to start taking more additional steps in terms of social distancing to limit exposure between employees and the public. We'll talk about that in a second. That's a discussion that was recently had by the Teller County Public Health Board. City buildings will be reduced in terms of the staffing. We'll have those staggered shifts, but we'll still continue to provide services to the community. We're continuing to do heightened level of sanitation of our workspaces and the dais and all these areas so that we have that on a very routine basis. Some of our select staff will have PPE, and when they're conducting, some of the ones that are at higher risk will have PPE when they're conducting business. And then we'll take all other authorities and direction from our local health department as we move forward with this. And if there's another trigger or step, we'll likely move to our tier 4 of our plan. But right now, the plan is to move to tier 3 on Monday. What that does entail right now is that most of our recreational programs have been canceled. You may have already known this, but CHASA directed from the state that the school districts canceled their recreational extracurricular activities. The school district is closed between now and March 30th, or starting Monday to March 30th. And so is all of the other Pikes Peak region schools, and it's in concert with their spring break. So it's just extending their spring break for a week so that they can go into their buildings and do really deep cleaning of their facilities. And we're going to be working with the county. Karen is going to be part of their joint information center, the JIC, and she'll be working with Cheryl and her team to begin providing information on a pretty routine basis throughout the day here on out on where we are as a county. And then I want to bring up the comments about the social distancing. So this building, the reason why I asked is I know I got several comments, several requests during the debate about how do we limit the number of individuals in here in order to achieve the proper social distancing recommended by CDC, CDPHE, all the public health elements, which is 6 feet, right? And so there was a discussion about can we get guidance from the county Board of Health so that we can use that to achieve that. And so they met today And Cheryl, if you can, if you don't mind, if you could talk about what the intent of that or what you achieved so that, and I'll talk about how we'll implement that.
Do you want to come here, Shirley? You can.
Did this work? Okay, I'm happy.
Please.
Okay. No, I'm Cheryl Decker, Teller County Administrator. Today, after our policy group meeting, it was the consensus of the municipalities, the school districts, and the county representatives. We had representative from everybody, which was a wonderful thing. But it was the consensus of that group that we not move to a complete health order, which the Teller County Board of Health has the ability to do, but to issue a recommendation to maximize social distancing as described by the CDC and CDPHE. We met in an emergency meeting and passed the resolution that does encourage and recommend that we all practice our social distancing, which is 6 feet or 2 meters ish around your personal space. How much further you want me to go?
All right, that's good, I think.
Okay.
So the intent for this building is that we will use that resolution, for instance, for this meeting, and up until if, we're not canceling all public meetings, but the intent is to increase the safety for all involved with these meetings. The instance for this building, right now, for instance, the occupancy level for this is 150. If you do 6 feet, this is roughly 600 square feet in here. So we'd only be able to I had an engineer do this math. So that, 17 individuals would limit this facility to 17 individuals in this room. I would have liked to have been able to do that during the debate, but the forum. I'm sorry. But I'm glad we have that now. And so I'm going to move forward with that. And we're going to be implementing that likely with our court and with the Woodland Aquatic Center. So we have that ability as well. And any facility where we might have more than, where we're so close quarters that we can't achieve 6 feet of social distancing. Lastly, we did want to reiterate there was an order put out by the governor probably about 2 hours ago that is going to limit all events within the state, Cheryl, right, to 250. Is that correct?
My reading of that declaration was that all events of 250 people or more have been canceled.
Okay. So, are there any questions regarding what the city is doing to be able to have a continuity of operations for the city to maintain public safety and provide essential services to our community, and what we will do to help provide safety to the community who might participate in this facility, Woodland Aquatic Center as well. Again, when we move to Tier 4, that's the move to close these facilities to public access. We're not at that point yet. We don't have a case in Teller County, but that would be a discussion to have with the policy group at that point, whether or not we would go in that direction.
Council, no, thank you. Councilmember Sawyer, sorry.
It's okay. Has there been any discussions on how to help the businesses through this period?
I will tell you, and I don't get into national politics, but the president passed some declaration of emergency declaration that activated the Stafford Act. With that provides resources to states and local governments for reimbursement on certain things, and some of that's going to be related to our businesses. Cheryl, I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, but I will be part of the county's team to do a economic impact analysis for the northern portion of Teller County. Richard Mann, the city administrator for Victor, will be working with the team to do that for the southern area of Teller County for the team. And with those surveys, that will help us get those federal dollars, as I understand it.
Yeah, this is not my area of expertise, hence the reason I suggested we reach out to you and bring you in onto our team, and thank you for joining us. But we're going to take advantage of every opportunity we have to help those that are being hurt by this, because you can see it across the country. So.
What
I
is
know
the name of the act again?
Stafford Act?
Excuse me, Val.
Yeah.
Stafford?
Stafford Act, correct.
I know the
That's
school districts having problems with temporary employees. I just got called today by a citizen who drives buses for the school. So
And I want to, what I would like to say is we are considering the potential economic impact to the city. And I'm glad that we have the reserves that we do under these circumstances. But one of the things we want to make sure we're doing is if we have to close, for instance, the Woodland Aquatic Center, that we have our normal maintenance cycle scheduled during that time, so that we, as you know, we do that several times a year, and that takes the pool out of commission for a couple weeks. If we time it correctly, we can minimize the impact if we do it at a time when we're trying to mitigate the spread of the coronavirus. So
hopefully we can continue to pay our employees even if they're.
That is part of this plan as well, and
Okay.
that's we're still working through some of those policies right now. But I can answer questions related to that. But we were just working through those policies just before we came down here.
I'm sure it's dynamic.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Councilmember Sawyer.
So the reserve fund of 17%, where are the red flags that are going to make us start to look at it?
At
And I know
this
you
time-
just talked about, you're going to look at the policies and stuff, but I don't think we've ever dipped into our reserve. Maybe we did when we had the fire, but that was kind of obvious. This one's a little different. So what are the red flags that are going to make you? And then my second thing is, I'd like to go to Miles and ask Miles what's going on with the police department. And
I think that's where it comes really is when we have to go to a full response, and we may have to bring in people on employees on overtime and to help with the orders that would come from TCPHE. That does not mean that's going to happen anytime soon, but if it did, there would be maybe, and those, quite honestly, under those circumstances, under ESFA, there's a potential for us to be reimbursed for those dollars if we're accounting for them. And so we would likely be accounting for them in the response of if that were to occur. I'll let Miles talk about what the PD is doing in terms of proactive measures to protect our first responders, our public safety.
Thank you. We've been scavenging as much Clorox wipes, hand sanitizers. We have the higher end masks for dealing with people that are ill. In a lot of the cases, if it's a medical call, we're just letting the medical teams handle that. We're not playing doctor, nurse, or anything like that. We're just avoiding those situations where people are sick. We are increasing a lot of our proactive patrols out and about, with the school district being out and a lot of the other businesses, cutting down on their hours and impacting our community. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to have a lot of idle time. So we're staying out and make sure that we are very proactive. And, we already work staggered shifts, so our people are spaced out as it is, and we're evaluating what employees are higher risk for health issues and making sure that they stay home. Did I answer your question?
Thank you. Any more, council?
I would like Suzanne to brief you on the election, which could be it's another issue that we're taking some proactive measures on as well.
Sure. For the first time in the city of Woodland Park, we will have a drop-off mail location, which will be right out here in City Hall. We ordered the box today. We ordered a camera. I've spoken with Crystal Brown, the clerk and recorder, on the process, and we will have that put outside here so people can drive up and drop their ballots in the box rather than coming in. And this is something that's going to be useful to the city for years to come. We're also going to put a ballot box at the PD because their lobby is always open, that citizens could come and drop their ballots off in that ballot box as well.
I assume these are all secured. Won't walk away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, the ballots are being mailed out on Monday and Tuesday.
great.
Thank you.
And luckily, this is a mail-in, so we don't have to worry about
Well,
voting booths and things like that
Yeah.
that
We
could get
still do.
contaminated.
We have to set up,
really?
voting booths in this room here, as Darwin knows from being a judge in the past, because if some people don't want to vote by mail ballot, they can vote by the machine. They have that option if they don't trust the mail ballot or something like that. And also for ADA reasons, we have a ballot box set up that has headphones, and then also where it has Braille.
And then to register, can they register literally there and vote 10 minutes later?
They can register online is
Right.
what I would like to. When I put out my public service announcement regarding the election, I'm going to ask individuals to try and register online. The only time they will need to come into the building is if they've lost a ballot, if they need a ballot replaced, or if they didn't get mailed a ballot and they want to get
Or
their
they-
ballot.
Or they just registered?
Or they just registered. That would be they didn't get mailed the ballot.
Ah.
Yeah. So we're going to, we'll work. We're going to have a team of judges. We'll have PPE and do what we need to do to keep everyone safe.
With your masks on and?
No masks,
No,
just I
just-
think gloves. But we'll be good.
Councilmember Case had a,
She answered my question.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else? Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Appreciate it.
May I just ask everybody to use common sense? If you're not feeling well, seek out a medical doctor. Take care of yourselves. Don't, and this is nothing new. And so we're in the flu season. There's a lot of things going on. Clean your hands, clean surfaces, and keep well, my friend. That's all.
And if you're sick, stay home.
Go see a doctor. Make sure you're
Well,
okay.
yeah, but don't come to
No,
public.
that's not common sense.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
know.
what I'm saying.
But people do.
Yes, please.
Do seek medical advice, but call your doctor.
Yes.
Yes, please don't drive over there or show up at the emergency room. If you don't feel well, call your doctor, talk to them. They have screening, but definitely take care of yourself, get your medical professional and expert advice and follow their recommendations, but don't go out in public.
Mr. Davis, you had your hand up. Thank you.
Is that on? Is it on?
Scott Davis, 220 Vaqueros Endo, Woodland Park. Going through the Citizens Academy has opened my eyes. Our biggest thing that the city provides us is clean drinking water. What if COVID-19 went through the water department, the employees? Do we have a backup for employees to keep our water supply safe and coming? Is my first question. And second question, the supply chain for the products used in the water department. The sodium hypochlorate, the soda ash, the polymer, are those foreign based? Is this going to be a problem? And you might not be able to answer that question, but it's a question to think about.
Yeah.
Because the one thing you guys provide is clean drinking water.
Correct.
Can't go without that for 3 days.
And I will say, we had this discussion in our meeting just previous to this. I feel strongly that the residual chlorine level within our water. There's Kip. Is Kip just coming here? Grab him. Kip. Aha.
Get to the
Timely.
podium.
I'm glad you're here. We're just talking about the security of our water source under these current circumstances.
And surplus of chemicals and things like
Yeah,
that.
treat.
And also the employees who run the facilities, because if everybody got sick.
Currently, we have 2 water operators, and they're in the plant and out in the field. They're not really together that often. So they've been made aware just to, in their personal life, to be aware of what they're doing and where they're going. As far as if something happens to them, we can do a lot of this stuff remotely. So they have that capability. And then also for chemicals, our shortest, right now we have about a 10-day supply of soda ash, and that's typical for us. But we have plenty of chlorine for disinfection in the system. And then as far as the system itself, the residual in the water is high enough per state standards that it'll remain clean. And then we also have backflow prevention on our distribution system, so nothing can come back into the system in normal circumstances. Does that answer your
Thank you.
question? Okay.
I knew you guys got an answer, but it just, that's the most vital thing that any city does for its citizens is we want.
I think just the most vulnerable part is just having the employees, just two. But a lot of us are capable by phone too. If they need to walk us through something, we could do that too. So.
Thank you.
Councilmember Sawyer.
So has there been any consideration to stock up a little bit more on the ash?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Do we have room for it?
Mhm.
Because I don't know. I think, is the ash sit outside? I don't know where the
No,
ash sits.
it's inside the facility.
Yep. So the ash sits inside. We can also bring some out to the wastewater plant and bring it out there, but
I mean, I think the most critical thing is what Scott brought up is definitely the water, the wastewater, the roads, our police force. I mean, those are the most critical at this time.
Yeah, again, the measures we're taking is to try to ensure that we can still provide those essential services, plowing, PD, law enforcement, and our water and wastewater utilities to the community. So that's what these measures are for, and I believe we're taking the right measures to do that. I think our community can be assured that they'll still receive those during this time.
Are you going to write up a press brief for the community?
We are working in concert with TCPHE for all of our press releases related to this issue. They released one yesterday. Two yesterday. So yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And there will be. We anticipate there's going to be. You'll see more of these coming out as TCPHE starts or has made a concerted effort to communicate accurate information to our community.
Councilmember Case has a question.
I would just like to comment and thank you all for your collaboration and working so tightly together in this face of this event that we're doing. It's something that I think we always need to prepare for, and I just admire you all for coming together and doing that and making sure that we have we're all on the same page and moving in the right direction instead of independently. It just makes great sense. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I assume you will publish this or send it out to us. We haven't seen it before.
That's correct.
Please.
I'm going to have you, sign it in a few minutes, sir, to make it official. Oh, you sent that one? Okay, I send this one.
Okay.
Okay.
But we have a couple of.
Yeah, we did. I did want to bring up
sorry.
So we have a meeting scheduled for March 19th. And City Council's been we've already talked to City Council about potentially canceling the meeting on April 2nd, just because of lack of business. I think with the implementation of the social distancing that we're talking about, we can make this, we can have this meeting on the 19th under the current circumstances, and we can have there is an agenda item for QJ, a liquor licensing hearing that we need to have, like to be able to get that done. But I will say there's been some cancellations already on the ceremonies, presentations, and appointments. The Young Wildlife Ambassadors have canceled right now. Firewise, I believe, has canceled. Is that correct?
I haven't heard from them,
And then-
but I
okay.
was going to cancel all of those
Yeah.
and keep just the one
The one,
QJ.
try to keep it to really pertinent business that needs to be accomplished.
I was just about to send the final on that resolution before I had to run over here. So I'll send that along.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I spoke with Scott Lord a couple of hours ago, and he's still planning.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to continue to have that in the meeting, or do you want to limit the meeting? That's the question. And do you want to have the meeting earlier than 7:00? And obviously, we would allow for a remote in if you want to as part of that meeting. We're looking to see what direction you want to go for that meeting, and then get a consensus from City Council on the meeting on April 2nd to cancel it if we don't have any further business.
I thought that, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem. I thought that we weren't allowing any remote in for any QJ.
That's
Oh,
correct.
that's correct. That's why this meeting I'm sorry. You're right. This
Okay.
meeting, that's why this meeting has to occur in person. We're trying to get the QJ out of the way so that this wouldn't have, if the conditions, the emergency conditions escalate, this will be out of the way, and that one of our local business owners won't have to wait to begin doing operations.
Can we can we consider canceling the April 2nd meeting now? Or
Yes.
is it, okay.
Yes, I was going to ask you, if you want to get a motion on that, we'd like to get a decision on that if you could.
Council, thoughts?
I have a question then. For the March 19th, is there any way we could hold a special session sooner and approve the liquor license?
The public notice is out and hanging with the hearing date of the March 19th meeting. I can't change that.
Okay.
April 19th. No, March
March
19th.
March 19th. Sorry, we'd like to. You're right. I think that would make sense, but because of the requirement, we have to do it on the 19th.
That's why you have emergency resolutions.
Right.
My God, what's the problem? It's a simple liquor license. It's nothing.
Well, there's a process that I have to follow.
Well, we have an emergency, we have an emergency.
Well, then it would have to be later than March 19th. That's the only thing I could do is go later, not earlier.
No problem with me.
I guess the intent would be to plan on having that so we can knock out the liquor license for that QJ action for city council. And then we can move forward with remote meetings after that if necessary.
So we could have staggered seating. We could have the council take up the dais and have a 6 feet space between us all. Take care of the business, and then we can move forward from there.
Yeah, I would prefer we keep the meeting at the same time, 7, that the public's used to seeing.
Okay.
I prefer you have one thing on the meeting, do it and get out of here.
Well, we have a couple things, but that's,
And we also have we have a potential resolution from PPACG as well. Other than that, those are the two primary ones. We also have a report, our sales tax report on that day. That's really it, I think, for that would be a pretty quick meeting.
I would move then that we go ahead with the March 19th meeting as planned, but do away with the April 3rd meeting.
April 2nd.
I'm sorry, April 2nd meeting.
Second.
Suzanne.
Carr,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Labar,
Yes.
Nakarada,
Yes.
Sonier,
Yes.
Sawyer.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Last thing.
Okay.
Sorry, last thing. I do want to, because of the implementation of the social distancing policy, we can achieve that social distancing in here with our Citizens Academy. So I'm going to announce that we will postpone the last 2 classes of the Citizens Academy until further notice. So
Makes sense.
Good idea.
Thank you. Nothing further?
Real quick. So I'm assuming based on the Governor Polis's 250 requirement, and it's obviously not up to us, but the chamber dinner is probably postponed.
it was postponed today.
Oh,
The Pearl Jam
I've been
concert's
busy.
postponed. Sorry, Scott.
My Eagles.
And so is Eagles. Yeah, so
The St. Patrick's Day parade
That's
here
correct.
in town,
Was also-
Karen's reminded me, has been canceled.
As has the Taste of Ireland for.
yeah. Do we have a
Cafe
list
Pantry.
that we can go over real quick
what's that?
that we know of off the top of our heads?
Cancellations?
Chamber, parade. What was that, Kelly?
The Taste of Ireland fundraiser for the Pet Food Pantry
That's correct.
Anything
is
else?
Saturday, and that's been canceled as well.
My Italy vacation, that's canceled.
Sporting events, obviously.
Yeah, as you've heard, CHASA has canceled the school district events and also all extracurricular activities. So yes,
Okay.
I will also say we will be closing because of the correlation between the teen center and the school. We'll be closing the teen center until the 30th of March. It coincides with the timeline that the school will be closed.
The library is also.
That is correct. The library is closed along the same timeline as the school district until the 30th.
Screw tape on Sunday. They shut that down.
So-
That was a play.
Okay.
That's a play.
Been kind of a helter-skelter meeting, but I think we stand adjourned.
Sure.
I hope.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Now that we're adjourned, I would say.
We're
you could do this, and we would know exactly what 2
Thanks,
meters.
Sheriff.
That is.
And here's the swing span.